Okay, I'm in my junkie garage, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you some AWS replicas, and you can purchase these online, but I'm gonna show you what they look like. And I got some tools here that we use, and I'm gonna show you how to use some of these tools and how to measure these replica welds here. You know, these are made out of plastic. So the first one is 1A, that's a piece of pipe. So you see you got a root opening, you got to know how to see how much high-low or offset it has by using these tools, and I'm gonna show you how to use that. This is a good look of what these look like. These are replicas, and you can see a lot of damage. Like you look over here, that's some arc strikes, which is a no-no. You don't want any arc strikes. We're gonna measure this cap here. We're gonna also look and see if we got some undercut. And you see some underfill at the toe of the weld. And also at the toe of the weld, you need to know there's two likely defects that you will have. You will have undercut, and you will also have overlap, which I call cold lap. So the toe of the weld is this area right here at the junction of the cap and the base metal. So that junction right here, let me point at it. We'll point right over here. This is called the toe of the weld. And you see some grinding that was done there, and you see some arc strikes. So this is number one. And also you have some V grooves here on some plate. This is 1-2. And I'm gonna zoom in. You see a lot of spatter and stuff on there. And you see right here, you got some underfill. They didn't fill that up. So we're gonna go through these and identify some of the defects we may see. You know, you got your cap. And you see these areas, you have G6 and you have G5, that's how they call them, G4, G3, G2, G1. So that's how they are identified. They may say, hey, on G5, what defect you have right here on G5. So you'll have some underfill right here. They didn't fill it up. So you zoom in and out. So and then we're gonna look at number 1-3. This is a T-joint, and you also have a lap joint. And these are fillet welds. And you look at these, you have all kind of defects in them. So we're gonna take the fillet weld gauge and make some measurements and see what size these welds is. And make sure you're using the right side of the fillet weld gauge. One side of the fillet weld gauge is used for convex welds, and the other side is used for concave welds. So we'll look on this other side, and you can see right there, you got a little piece of porosity, like somebody gouged in this pretty bad with an arc gouger. So you got F1, which is a fillet weld, and like I said over here, G stands for groove weld. So this F is F1, F3, F5, F9, F11. So this is how they are referenced. They'll say, hey, look at F5. What do you see on the base metal on the top? And that looked like some arc gouging. That's F5. So F stands for fillet weld. So you have two different sides. As you can see, this is a fully weaved weld. You got two showing right there. You got some stringer welds. All right, we're gonna put this over here. This right here is number 4, specimen number 4. And if we look at this, these are bend specimens. So you need to know right here, you got a crack on the edge, and you got to know what the code requires for that. So, and you're going by the book of specs. So that's why they tell you don't remember the code book, because it's just a book of specs, 2017. So when you get that book, make sure you study it, and you can mark it up however you want, but they're going to give you a new one when you go and take the exam. So this is what these specimens look like. And I'm gonna get in see if we can get a good view of these. Come out here, and you need to know if you got a face bend or a root bend. You see that porosity, you got porosity. And some of these marks are just marked up by maybe somebody had a highlighter or something. And you look at this one, you got to know if that's acceptable or not by taking your calipers and measure that. So we're gonna pull out the tools and we're gonna make some measurements. So then you got specimen number 5. They call it 1-5. It's underfill. So we're gonna make some measurements on this. It's underfill, as you can see to the side. They didn't fill it all the way up. And who will do that anyway? But you will see some stuff like that in the field. And specimen number 6. And this right here is a T-joint. And you can see that's, if you look at it from the side, you got some concavity in it. So you got to be able to use the right fillet weld gauge to measure that. You don't use the convex side of the fillet weld gauge to measure the concave fillet weld. And I hope you guys can see this stuff pretty good, but this is what this looked like. So that's another fillet weld gauge. A fillet weld. So then we're looking at specimen number 7. We need to find out what angle this is. And some of us that's been out in the field long enough can just look at that and find out what angle. You got a different angle on each side. So you're gonna have to find your angle finder to identify what angle this bevel is. And this is a bevel, not a groove. A groove is when you put 2 bevels together, then it becomes a groove. So this is a single bevel. And you also have a land on this. Some people call it a root face. Let's get over here, maybe we can see it. And these specimens ain't too well cut. So I hope they don't try to tell you to measure this land, because this is way off. You got 1/8, 1/16, you got 3/16, it's all over the place. But I think it's more like trying to find the angle. So they may say, hey, find the angle on C or find the angle on A. Then we got specimen number 8. Like it says, it's a convex B. So this is convex. If you put it to the side, you can see it a little bit. It's convex, so you're gonna have to use the right side of the fillet weld gauge to make that measurement. Then you got over here, this is another convex A. So you see right there, so you're gonna have to measure this with your fillet weld gauge. That was number 8. And let's look at number 9. And number 9, right here. Let me turn it this way. It says SMAW, so that stands for shielded metal arc welding. And GTAW, it's gas tungsten arc welding. So you're gonna have to look at these and identify any kind of defect that are in this particular specimen. And right here, you may have to look at some arc wash. And I don't see too many defects on this, or you may have some collap or overlap, but you're gonna have to pull out your magnifying glass to identify some of these, you know. So these are what the specimens look like. So that's number 9. Then we got number 10. This right here is a bend specimen. So this number 10 is a bend specimen. So maybe you're gonna have to measure the width of this bend specimen. You got to know how wide it is by the code, because the code on the may allow 1 inch wide and 9 inches long. So you need to know the specs on this. And you also have another bend, which are looking identical as far as I'm concerned. This is specimen number 11. And you can see we're gonna look at the root. And I guess you got to know if this is a root bend or a face bend. So if you're looking at this and you see the root inside, this would be identified as a face bend. Okay, we're gonna take a couple of measurements on this pipe right here. We're gonna measure the high-low inside this pipe. I'm gonna show you how you do that. You got your high-low gauge. I call it a high-low gauge. And it's written right there, that's high-low gauge. And on this side, you have 30 seconds of an inch. You see that 32. And on this side, you have millimeters. So you're gonna always be going back and forth from inches to millimeters. So that's why I say you need to know how many millimeters in an inch. It's 25.4 millimeters in an inch. So let's just take a measurement and show you how this tool works. Make sure that this is loose. what you want to do is put it inside the pipe, and you want to bring this part right here down snug, right here. You see, that's flat. Then what you want to do is pull up on that side, make sure it touches this piece of pipe. You see, you pull up, then you pull up on this side and make sure it touch. So, cause sometimes one part could be up or down. So we're gonna pull that. And then once you do that, you can tighten this down, turn it, and come out and look at your measurements. And this right here is the 30 seconds. See, we don't have no high-low in that. And that's the millimeter side. So let's take a part that's got some high-low. Let me look in here. Let me see if I can feel. Okay, I see a spot right here. I know it got some high-low. I can look inside. So let's take a measurement right here. So what I'm gonna do, see how this slides back and forth? I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna bring it right up against that flat. As you can see, it's flat. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull on this side until it hit, and I'm gonna pull on this side until it hit. Once both sides hit, I tighten it down, turn it over, and I can see right there. We're gonna look at the millimeters. We're gonna look at the 30 seconds. I see that is what? 2 30 seconds of an inch. So that's 1, 2. So 2 30 seconds is 1/16 of an inch. So we're using 30 seconds. You go over here on the millimeters. And you can also see how that is offset. The bottom of the pipe, one pipe hit here, and the other side of the pipe hit right here. So we got a 1/16 of an inch high-low. And if you only allow 1/30 seconds, that is out of specs. So this is how you use a high-low gauge to check the inside of a piece of pipe. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to use these. Some cheap calipers. These are in millimeters. If you look at that, it's in millimeters. We know that 25.4 millimeters is an inch. So if you look at this caliper, let me see. It says it's in 0.1 millimeters. So if I go all the way, if you look at this, I know 25.4. So that's 1 inch. So 25.1, 2, 3, 4. So if I take my machinist ruler, you see the 1 inch, that should measure exactly 1 inch. As you see right there, 1 inch, that's 25.4 millimeters. So let's measure the wall thickness of this piece of pipe. I'll measure the wall thickness of this pipe. Just take the calipers like this, and you just go right here. So that wall thickness right there, you look at the top, it's not all the way to 10. So that is, if you squeeze it, that's 8 millimeters. So you can convert 8 millimeters by doing the math, which we're gonna do some math here. This is what it would be in inches. So that's 8 millimeters. So that's not even a half inch yet. That's 8 millimeters. So if we measure this with your calipers, we're gonna do the thickness. We're looking at that. That ain't made it to 20. So we're looking at 18.4 millimeters. As you can see, we're gonna go again. 8, let's see, it depends on where you're at. So that's 18.5 millimeters. 18, if it go there, that would be 19 millimeters. If you go all the way around, that would come to 20 millimeters. And that's not an inch yet, because we know 25.4 millimeters is an inch. So that's the thickness of this. So that's how you use calipers. So that's why you need to know how to convert millimeters into inch. But this is just a cheap metric column. Some you got those digital ones now. You can just punch a button that goes back and forth from millimeters to inch. So everything's become digitalized. All right, I'm gonna show you how to use a couple of more gauges, and I got to go to school and teach a class. But this right here is a high-low gauge. You can do your weld reinforcement right here. So only thing you need to do is just put it, I'm gonna just bring this closer, just put it right here. I think you can see that fairly good. And just go down, boom, you hit it, and you look at here, over here, you see you got a 30 seconds of an inch. That's how tall that cap reinforcement is. So 30 seconds. So if you would have went up, this would have been a 1/8 of an inch. So that's how you measure the caps and stuff. And let's use a fillet weld gauge right quick. And then I'm gonna have to go to teach my class. Okay, we're gonna check a couple of fillet welds. We're looking at this fillet weld right here. This fillet weld right here already got out the right gauge. That's 3/4 of an inch. And I'm gonna show you how I know. You take the fillet weld gauge and you bring it flat here and you push it. You see right at the top is at the toe. That's how you measure this convex fillet weld. This is the convex side. You cannot use this side over here. Let's see, 3/4. It's over here somewhere, but I have to rush. As you can see, you got to use, this is the convex side, so you have to use the one that's shaped like that. You can't use this end right here to measure that. You see why? You see the top of it ain't even touching. I'm trying to see, let's see. As you can see right in there, it's not even touching. So you can't use this side of the fillet weld gauge to measure convex welds. So let's look at a concave weld. This weld looks really big, but it looks like it's about 3/4 of an inch, but it's not. It's about 1/4 of an inch. If you look at that, you got to use this side right here. As you can see, I'm gonna see if you can get a good view of that. I'm gonna put this down here and I'm gonna go. You see how that touch? That's right there, and that's what you use for a concave weld. You use this side right here. You can't use this side. It won't work. So a concave weld looks really big, but it's not, because it's caved in. That's about 1/4 of an inch. Even though you look up here with all that arc wash, look like that thing is about 3/4 of an inch. But you use this 1/4 inch gauge, that's what you get right there. That's a 1/4 inch gauge. So you see 1/4 right there. So that's how you use these tools. So if you would like to learn more information, you want to take a few quiz, visit my website at www.weldingandstuff.net. That's www.weldingandstuff.net. So I'm gonna show, so these are your fillet weld gauges, and you're gonna get you one of these little magnifying glasses, because you're gonna need one. You see this got a light, because you're gonna have to zoom in sometimes and turn on that light and measure some stuff. And the machinist ruler. And you also got this mirror in case you need to look under a piece of pipe or inside a piece of pipe to check for the root problems, maybe porosity or undercut. And you also have an undercut gauges. You could check the depth of undercut. And it's pretty simple to use. Once you put these things on a piece of pipe or something, like if you want to measure undercut, you just lay this thing flat and just move it and put this little sharp edge in the undercut and slide it down, and you can get your readings right off of this. You know, it's hard to read something that's less than a 32nd of an inch or 1/64. But these are, and I don't think you would be using micrometers, but I'm gonna give you a few examples on how to read a micrometer. They're really easy to read, and it's good when you're dealing with like stuff automatic welding, when you have to measure the offset. This is really good for measuring offsets. You know, just put it on the edge of the bevel, click it in, and you can get some precise readings in 1/1000th of an inch. All right, I'm sorry I got to leave you guys, but visit my website at www.weldingandstuff.net. Don't forget to subscribe, like, turn on your notifications, and share this video. Also leave comments. Thanks for watching Welding and Stuff.